art was living, mon ami.
Ooh, Tish. When you speak French, you drive me wild. Speak some more French, Tish. Anything. Tout à l'heure. La plume de ma tante. Mademoiselle from Armentières. Anything.
C'est merveilleux. Excellent idea.
What if I was to go in and do some parlor tricks?
Oh, no.
Oh, I can saw a woman in half.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. The only trouble I have is getting her together again.
Oh, Wednesday, Pugsley, darling. How was school?
Terrible. A real drag. Especially history. Nothing ever happens in history except names and dates. Yeah, they never tell us anything interesting, like how many heads they chopped off in the French Revolution.
Hello, I'm film historian Tony Maeda.
And I'm Brad Shreve, who's just a guy who likes movies.
We discuss movies and television from Hollywood's golden age. We go behind the scenes and share our opinions, too.
And of course, being the average guy, my opinions are the ones that matter.
As does your self-delusion. Welcome to Going Hollywood. Brad, before we start recording and we get into our episode of today, I have a very serious question to ask you. All right?
Okay, sure.
Are you a Munster or are you an Addams? But wait, no. I mean, come on. Who am I kidding? This is the Going Hollywood podcast. Please. Are you a Lily or are you a Morticia?
Oh, boy, that's tough. It'd be easier if you asked me if I was a Ginger or a Marianne.
Maybe some other week.
Between Lily and Morticia, I'll have to go with a Morticia.
Interesting.
Do you want to know why, or should we hear what?
No, I want to hear why.
You are.
No, I want to hear why.
Because Lily is more of the traditional sitcom housewife who does a little more nagging than I like, even though I like her, and she's a loving wife. Morticia's a little more classy.
Okay, that's fair.
What about you? Who are you, Lily or Morticia?
I am a Marilyn. There, I said it. I'm the other. I'm the hideous freak who drives men away with my hideous looks. Oh my, that's funny. Well, everybody, if you haven't figured it out, it's another one of our Halloween-ish, October-ish episodes. We're talking about the Munsters and the Addams Family. It's not really the Munsters versus the Addams Family, because I think you and I like the same one a little bit more than the other one, so it's not going to really be a battle. I don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out. We really haven't talked about it, folks.
It is a big battle between a lot of people. I would say it's equal to the, I was jokingly talking about the Marianne Ginger thing, but I think a lot of people it's equal to that.
It's huge to people. People are passionate.
Yeah.
Like with it, it's a mad world. People are passionate Munsters or they're passionate Addams. I guess that's what I was kind of asking. No, I wasn't. I wanted to know if you were Lily or Morticia. Is basically it. When pressed, I think I probably am a Morticia. Although I still identify with Marilyn more. But Beverly Owen, not Pat Priest. I'm sorry. So, yes, we're talking about the Munsters and the Addams Family, which both, oddly enough, aired at the same time. It's a very, very strange situation, these two shows. But I'm excited to talk about it because it's a little change of pace for us as we talk about our, air quotes, scary movies this month, to talk about these TV shows, which I don't know about you, but were so much a part of my childhood, it's not even funny. I mean, I remember these shows, probably the Munsters more than Addams, but I remember them on all the time. Do you?
Absolutely. Well, day after day after day. And when we get into our likes and dislikes of the series, I think the fact that I watched it every day was a big impact on which one I preferred.
Really? That's interesting.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. 1964. A very strange year. Life magazine called it the year of the monster. And these are some of the things that happened in 1964. It was not only, I want to point this out, it was not only the fact that you had these two series, which were incredibly similar, premiering within a week of each other and created independently. There was another TV show which started the exact same month, a day before the Addams Family, called Bewitched. This is so strange. This truly was I don't even know if it's the year of the monsters. It's more of the year of the supernatural.
Yes.
Because Bewitched premiered, when we talked about Bewitched last season, we had a fabulous 2-part episode on Bewitched, one of my favorites. If you haven't listened to it, what's wrong with you? Listen to it. Bewitched premiered on September 17th, 1964. The Addams Family premiered on September 18th, 1964. And the Munsters was September 24th, 1964. So 1964 TV audiences were getting a hell of a lot of supernatural content, fantastical content in September of 64.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think a lot of people assumed, either the Munsters came out a year earlier or the Addams Family came out the year earlier. And it was kind of a bewitched genie kind of thing. Like one network said, oh, we need to copy the success of this other show because, time has passed and people don't remember when they actually came out. And I think that's probably the assumption on most people's part. Now, I knew they came out the same year. I didn't know it was as close as it is. And I thought, okay, there was a leak somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I can find nothing. As you said, they were independent of each other. I can find nothing that says one leaked to the other network. It just happened.
It's the oddest thing. It's the oddest thing. Yeah, they developed independently. Neither one knew about the other one until they found out. And I believe the Addams Family found out, the creators of the Addams Family found out first, and they're like, oh, we got to beat the Munsters to the punch. That's why the Addams Family, they ramped up production, and that's why the Addams Family premiered about a week before the Munsters. However, in the grand scheme of things, the Munsters actually was the more successful show. It had higher ratings than the Addams Family the first year. But we'll get into that.
I have a theory why that happened.
Why do you think that happened?
I mean, just because you just told me this information.
Yeah.
The Addams Family had to rush, so they had a matte painting for their house. Whereas the Munsters took the time to actually have a real house.
Well, you know what, though? Do you know that was only a partial matte painting? Did you know that?
No.
It was a real house. The Addams Family house was a real house located at 21 Chester Place in Los Angeles. Now, for any of my fellow Los Angelinos out there, you can't go looking for it now. It was torn down. It's in the USC area. And the part that was real is the portico and the first 2 stories. Okay. And then they created a matte painting for the upper, the little turrets and all this stuff that goes up. But so it was a partial matte painting, partial real house. And yes, you're right. 1313 Mockingbird Lane was an actual set house that was on the Universal lot. And it's funny, they said that very often when they were filming the Munsters, tour would come by and tourists would actually stop filming and approach the characters. You know what I mean? If they were filming a scene, suddenly there'd be a tourist there. Can I have an autograph, Herman? Hi, Lily. I mean, they would do this. It's kind of funny. So there was whenever they were outside filming, obviously not when they were inside. What do you think it was about 64? Do you think it was the Kennedy assassination and like a need for escapism and fantasy?
I think it wasn't just the Kennedy assassination. It was a very violent decade. I can't remember when all the assassinations took place, but it was a very violent decade. You had the Vietnam War going on. No, none of that really. That's
all later.
Yeah, no. None of that boiled over the top.
Yeah.
Till later decades, but it was happening then. It was still brewing. There was still that tension. You still had the beatniks in the early 60s. And I just think there was the early 60s were more like the 50s. But once you got a little past that, things started stewing. And they stewed, and they stewed, and they stewed, and then they boiled over. I think these were part of that early stewing. People need an escape.
I think yes, I think you're right. I think it was a reaction to the conservatism that was part of the 50s and bled into the early 60s. I think you're absolutely right about that. Because what are these shows in essence? These shows in essence are spoofs of standard American sitcoms. If the beginning of the Addams Family, the beginning of the Munsters, the very first beginning that starts with Lily, not with Herman breaks through the door, not that beginning, that was season 2. Season 1 It begins with Lily at the bottom of the stairs, and all the people come. Eddie comes, she gives him his lunch. Marilyn comes, she kisses her. Herman comes, she kisses Herman. That is basically the same beginning as the Donna Reed show. Watch the Donna Reed show sometime, and Donna comes out in her pearls and answers the phone, and then everybody comes and she greets everybody as they go off on their day, and that's how the Munsters started. So it really was an outright spoof of these classic American sitcoms that we think of American life, air quotes, except they happen to be monsters, or they happen to be very strange individuals like the Addams Family. It's very funny. So I think it was a reaction to that conformity.
I will say between the two that the Munsters was more of a spoof of the traditional family sitcom than the Addams Family. And I'm not saying that's better or worse, because it really was. I mean, the Addams Family was just different. and the Munsters was Donna Reed and makeup.
Yeah, the Addams Family also had Charles Addams cartoons as a basis, whereas the Munsters was somewhat original. It was, but I think if you're going to look at anything as kind of an influence on this, it was My Favorite Martian, because My Favorite Martian premiered the year before in '63 and was a big hit and was really the first supernatural, fantastical TV sitcom. And because it was such a big hit, that's when the idea came to ABC and CBS that we are going to do the same thing. And then they developed along their own tracks. So, but yeah, like I said, though the shows, the similarities between these shows are so strange and the differences are crazy. So they were never, neither show ever got nominated for an Emmy. Nobody ever got nominated, not even makeup, which you think at least they get makeup. Never. No Emmy nominations for either one. The Munsters was higher rated than the Addams Family. The very first season, the Munsters was frequently in the top 10. It ended the year number 18, and the Addams Family ended the year 23. So still very respectable. And then the second year, both series were in the toilet. They were out of the top 30.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the reasons for that.
Dropped like rocks.
But I wanted to ask you a question. So we know very famous address, 1313 Mockingbird Lane, home of the Munsters. Do you know what the Addams Family address was?
No, it never even dawned on me what might it be. So I'm curious.
This took a little digging from me. I mean, I didn't sit down and watch every episode. Maybe they say it in an episode. No, all the episodes I watched, I didn't see it. But so I did a little digging. They lived on Cemetery Lane, and their address was 0001. Cemetery Lane. Which is still a great address. That's a great address.
You may be able to answer this for me, because I never realized until watching these episodes how clear it was that the Munsters are in a suburb of Los Angeles, that Mockingbird Heights is in the Los Angeles area. Do we ever know where the Addams are?
No, we never know. The town is never... Yeah, it's a fictional town. It's a fictional town. How did you get the Los Angeles suburbs? Because they were filming in the valley?
There are things said in the series, that the episodes that we watched where they're referencing made it clear as day that they are in this area. I don't know if they said they were going to a particular beach. Now, there are later episodes where they go to Antelope Valley, which is up near me here, because Herman wanted to go to, I think the family wanted to go to the beach, and Herman wanted to go to Antelope Valley, and they come up here and deal with Native Americans and that sort of thing.
Right. I remember that, yeah.
That's in the LA area, but that doesn't mean that's where the show was. But yeah, there are comments made either to Santa Monica. I think they refer to a couple of the other suburbs. And I'm like, oh, maybe it was the TV station that said it.
I thought you were just basing that hypothesis on the fact that the Santa Monica Mountains are frequently in the background, because you can't go on that assumption.
No, this was actually said.
Right.
Unlike the Brady Bunch, which everybody assumed was in LA, it was never said. The Munsters, it did finally come out, even though I don't think anybody ever really knew where it was.
Well, yeah, and you and I talked about it. I mean, even on Bewitched, when they went to Salem, they were on the set, and suddenly the Santa Monica Mountains are in the background. So it's like, okay, what are those mountains in Salem? Yeah, not the Berkshires. Mm-hmm. So ABC had Bewitched and the Addams Family. CBS had the Munsters. So they were also on, dueling networks. And as I said, ABC panicked when they found out about it, and they sped up production to get the Addams on the air first, and it beat the Munsters by 1 week. So how do you want to do this, Brad? Do you want to like talk about the Munsters first, the Addams Family first? How do we want to handle this particular structure, this episode?
Well, I think the easiest way is let's do the one that was, aired way before the other one.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Since the Addams Family was first, let's go with the Addams Family. I do want to say one thing, though. You talked about these. This was the first. My Favorite Martian in '63 was the first fantastical.
Yeah. Was I wrong?
It's kind of not supernatural, but the very first that I would think of fantastical is Mr. Ed in 1961.
That's true. Talking horse. There's some fantasy there. I remember last time a Palomino came up to me. I'll give you that one, Brad. I'll give you that one. Let's do that. And we're, as our usual format when we talk about TV shows, we have 4 episodes. Because we're doing 2 different shows, though, we each picked one from each show. So I picked one from Addams and from Munsters, and Brad did the same. So we'll do it that way. And then when we get to the episodes, we'll figure out who goes first. I think it's going to be you, Brad, because it's going to be me because my episode's up first with the Addams Family. All right. So we also kind of split the workload this time. And Brad, thank you, Brad. I said, Brad, do the Addams Family. I'm so bossy. Oh my God. I don't believe how bossy I am sometimes. How do you put up with that?
You know why? Because most of the times the things that you are demanding of, I don't care. And you know me, if I do care, I speak up. So just
you do. You never let me just roll over you. But I'm like, okay, Brad, you talk about this. I'm going to talk to this. Bye.
You're
Brad,
more nitpicky
very,
than you're much more nitpicky. So I just ride with it. I'm like, whatever.
Brad very, very graciously said he would do the Addams Family. So Brad is up first talking about the Addams Family. I obviously, because I'm me and I can't keep my mouth shut, I will, of course, have little interjections about the Addams Family. That's the way we're going to do it. So Brad, you want to kick us off on the Addams Family, which aired September 18th, 1964 to April 8th, 1966. I wasn't born yet. I was almost born, but I wasn't born yet.
And there's a reason why I wanted to do the Addams Family. But I'm going to first start with what it was about, which most of us know is a dark comedy twist. It's on The Perfect American Household like other sitcoms, but not nearly to the degree that the Munsters were, just from the pure nature of the show. It was based on the Charles Addams New Yorker cartoons that followed this family. Many of them followed this family, though they never had names. Mm. And these were single panel cartoons that started in the 1930s. He did 1,300 of them. Wow. He never gave them a name at all. He is the one. He didn't have a whole lot to do with the show, except when they said, we need names for these characters, he gave them the name. Mm-hmm. So, and I guess it was probably the network's decision to call them the Addams Family because he was famous for these cartoons. So I am a huge, huge fan of the Charles Addams cartoons, which is why I wanted to do this show. So the show is about gourmet. I was going to say gourmet. About Gomez, Morticia, their children, and their other kind of kooky, odd relatives, and their creepy butler, Lurch. Yeah. And they aren't monsters in the real sense that the Munsters were, though Cousin It is definitely in that realm, as well maybe Lurch. They're monsters as much as they are odd, creepy, weird. Death was charming and normal to them, or being normal was just dull. And like the Munsters, they thought they were normal. Yeah. Now it seems like, unlike the Munsters, they thought the Munsters were trying to fit in, where the Addams Family just thought, what is with these other squares in the world? It was a whole different attitude for them.
But both families were oblivious to the fact that they looked differently than everybody else. That's what I think is so funny.
Looked and acted differently, yes.
But the Addams could actually blend if they tried. I mean, yes, Morticia's dress, she would have had to do something with the dress. But there was no kind of, they weren't monsters, as you just said. They look like normal people. I mean, yes, they're a little extreme, but they could blend. Yeah. Easier. They could pass, I guess the word.
You didn't have people running just from the side of them as much as you did in the Munsters.
Correct.
Like I said, I think when it came to monster type, really Cousin It and Thing would be the most terrifying.
Cousin It. I love Cousin It.
Lurch, you'd be like, that guy is really ugly, but I don't know if I don't think you'd run away.
I would.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I would. I'll tell you right
now. I think he's sexy.
Wow, that voice, that deep voice, yeah.
And the way his eyes roll up into his head.
Oh, good, yeah.
So, and you give the dates, and those are the main. The only other thing I can do is share my thoughts, and I think we should talk about the series, the episodes first. And the first episode that we decide to talk about.
Yeah, I have a couple things I want to interject because I think there should be a little background about it. So the series was created by David Levy and Donald Saltzman, and it was shot in black and white. Now, when we get to the Munsters, there's some debate about that, but it was shot in black and white, and there was a total of 64 episodes. And I think probably the most famous thing. What do you think the most famous thing about the Addams Family is, Brad? The series.
Snap, snap.
Snap, snap. Exactly. It's opening theme song. I think everybody knows da 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 da, which is a really great opening. I love the opening of the Addams Family. I also love the opening of the Munsters.
And I can't snap, otherwise I would have done it. But so I had to say snap, snap.
We'll loop them in. And it was composed and sung by Vic Mizzy.
Oh.
So there you go. That's it. So we want to talk about the cast a little bit, though, don't we? Don't we want to talk about who some of these people are who played these parts?
Of course we do. Let's start with Gomez himself, who was played by John Astin, who I would say is probably the most famous. Jackie Coogan would have been more famous in his day. Mm-hmm. But John Astin is probably the most famous known today. He actually returned to the role in the TV film.
Also because of his son.
Because of what?
Because of his son. Because of Sean Astin. I would assume that he's famous to me because of Sean Astin.
Oh,
there's a whole story.
I forgot about Sean Astin. Yes.
There's a whole story. He's still alive. John Astin is still, I believe, every time I've said this now, we lose somebody.
Be careful.
We just lost Dame Patricia Rutledge. God bless her, recently too. So I'm not gonna say still alive. I'm just gonna let it go because I don't. Yeah, what the hell's up with that? So forget that, John Astin. He was probably he probably is the most well known because he was a famous character actor. He was in Freaky Friday, the original Freaky Friday with Barbara Harris. He was in That Touch of Ming, West Side Story. So here's the thing, though, and we have to have this because we haven't had one in a while, and I don't feel right unless I get this out. We got a Lucy moment right here because John Astin was married to none other than Patty Duke. Okay, now here's your Lucy moment. So Patty Duke was dating Desi Arnaz Jr. and John Astin and another man named Michael Tell at the same time. And guess who got pregnant and couldn't figure out who the father was of her baby?
I did know this story.
So for a
time, said the baby was Desi Arnaz Jr.'s for a time. Ages.
She didn't say it. Some tabloid said it. It was never. She never came out right and said it. She said maybe. She wasn't sure who the father was because she was dating. It's like Mamma Mia, Patty Duke style. So she wasn't really sure, and there was reported for a time that it was indeed Desi Arnaz Jr.'s. So Sean Astin, they weren't sure if Sean Astin was Lucille Ball's grandson, and I think she actually went and saw him. She dressed in black and put a veil on and went and saw the baby at one point. But then Patty confirmed that Sean was really the son of Michael Tell. But she ended up marrying John Astin, and John Astin adopted Sean. That's why his name is Sean Astin, which, there you go. There's your Lucy moment, folks. You're welcome. You're welcome. So we also had Carolyn Jones playing Morticia. Did you know any of Carolyn Jones's work before this, Brad? About the
No, I knew nothing of Carolyn Jones. I know the shows she's been in from our research, but I did know nothing of her.
Beautiful woman, Oscar nominee. She was nominated for an Oscar in 1957 for Best Supporting Actress. And she was originally supposed to play the prostitute in From Here to Eternity, but she got sick, and the part went to Donna Reed, who won an Oscar. So, God bless Carolyn Jones. Beautiful woman, beautiful woman. And I think you can see it when she plays Morticia. Even as Morticia, she's a stunningly beautiful woman.
And one of the things I find interesting about both John Astin and Carolyn Jones is, especially John Astin, he had a very prominent role. And we won't get into Batman right now, but both of them went on to be on Batman John more well known as the Riddler.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, for a while, Carolyn Jones was married to Aaron Spelling. So this was, Carolyn Jones she wasn't never a big star. Obviously, Morticia was probably her biggest. She got a Golden Globe nomination for playing Morticia. It was obviously her biggest career success. She did soaps later and she did some TV shows, and sadly she died of cancer in 1983. So Uncle Fester, you mentioned him briefly. Who played Uncle Fester, Brad?
Uncle Fester was played by Jackie Coogan, who child actors for decades owe him a great amount of gratitude.
Yay, you mentioned it. Michael said, be sure you mention the Coogan law. I was like, yes, Michael, I will mention the Coogan law.
Yeah, my mom used to talk about it all the time. I don't know why it was a big deal for her. I think because she was sad that he was so taken advantage of. But
well, tell our people what the Coogan law is.
Jackie Coogan in his day was a huge child star. And by the time he got a little bit older, his parents blew every bit of his money. He was left with nothing. And as a result of that, and you'll probably know more of the percentages that I know, with the Coogan law, child actors' income is now protected, so that can no longer happen.
Right. It's put into a trust. Well,
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, Jackie Coogan was, I don't want to say he was discovered by Charlie Chaplin, but he was in vaudeville from a baby. And Chaplin saw him at 8 when he was 5 years old and put him in a couple of his films. But the most famous one is The Kid. Have you ever seen The Kid, or have you ever seen clips of The Kid or anything like that, Brad?
I have seen clips of The Kid, and as always, it was ages ago.
It is one of Chaplin's most famous films, most beautiful films. It's a wonderful, wonderful film. And Jackie Coogan is astounding. He's like a mini Mary Tyler Moore. Every time I see him, he's got a little bit of a page boy haircut. He's so good. He's so present. You think this child is 5 years old, and he's brilliant. His emotions, he's so real. Everything is just, this is a 100-year-old film, and it's a beautiful, beautiful performance. And he became a huge child star, big child star. But then when he started to get older, and he wasn't, as what happened to many child stars, wasn't doing as well, he wanted to get all that money he made in the 20s, and it was gone. Parents spent it. $4 million, gone. So he actually took them to court, and he was able to get $126,000 from approximately $4 million he had made. So that's when...
And that's probably all that was left.
That was all that was left. So public outcry led to the Coogan Act, which is also called the Child Actors Bill. And it requires forevermore any child actor, trusts have to be set up for their earnings. So your parents can't screw you over and take all the money that you made when you were a hardworking kid actor. That's Jackie Coogan.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, who plays Lurch?
My favorite character, Ted Cassidy. Ted Cassidy, yes. He is the one that made the Addams Family for me. And one of the reasons why I chose the episode I did, because he is the most monster-like. That's what endeared me to him. I also think his character was so well played by him, but because of the nature of the character, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for making Lurch such a great character.
I think you're probably right. I agree with that. And contrary to what many people think, he did not play Jaws in the James Bond films.
I know. I used to think that as well.
Yeah, a lot of people did. He did not play it. And then we have Lisa Loring as Wednesday and Ken Weatherwax as Pugsley, making up the Addams Family. There they are.
And I got to say something about Pugsley, because Lisa Loring had some pretty prominent scenes, and she was in the opening credits. The whole family was in the opening credits, snapping their fingers. But when they showed clips from the series, there is not a single one that showed Pugsley. That poor kid was underdeveloped. He went on to I forget what he didn't stay in acting, and he doesn't. I'm not gonna say he remembers the show poorly. He just he didn't like being an actor. He was bored. He was bored sitting around on set all day, which for a kid I understand, especially when you consider he's the kid that didn't do much.
Wednesday got a spinoff. Wednesday has her own show on Netflix now. Where's Pugsley's show?
That's because Wednesday was well developed. She kind of went off and on from being a typical girl to the dark goth Wednesday that we all know and love.
Yes, yes.
But Pugsley, they never really seem to know what to do with the kid.
They didn't. We also forgot, and it's easy to forget her because she talked about unacknowledged Grandmama, played by Blossom Rock.
Blossom Rock, yes.
I love that name. I know I've seen her before, and I was doing deep dives and trying to figure out where I've seen her before, and nothing rang a bell. All of her credits rang a bell, so I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out sometime. But she looks so familiar, but she rarely does anything. She has a very few lines. She's really thankless.
I am going to, I think, trump the historian here.
Oh, you got some. Well, I know what she did.
I think I know why you know her.
Why do I know her?
She is Jeanette MacDonald's sister.
I knew that, but that's not why I would
thought maybe
her.
that she looks like Jeanette. I've never seen her without her makeup. So,
listen, I know I'm a TV air quotes TV film historian, but I don't go. That looks like Jeanette MacDonald's sister. Maybe it's Jeanette MacDonald's sister. Oh, you know what? That looks like Irene Dunn's brother. Maybe that's Irene Dunn's brother. No, I wouldn't. I'm not that much. There were some really interesting guest stars who were played members of the Addams family, though. I think one of the most interesting one is Morticia's mother, Esther Frump. Do you know who played Esther Frump, Morticia's mother?
No, I forgot all about Esther Frump. See, I'm supposed to know this stuff because I did the Addams Family, and I don't remember that.
I told you I'd interject because I can't keep my mouth shut. She was played by none other than Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch of the West.
How can I forget that?
And Morticia had an older sister, Ophelia Frump.
Now, Ophelia, I do remember. I don't remember who played her.
You don't remember who played her?
You know what? I did know. Just the other day I was thinking about it, but I cannot for the life of me right now, being on a microphone, be able to tell you.
It was played by Carolyn Jones.
I thought for sure it was somebody different. I hate it when TV shows do that. That's probably why I don't remember.
She pulled a Serena. That's why I thought you would know, because I know you hate that, because you were bitching about Serena and you're bitching about Jeannie too. And yeah, they pulled a Serena and Carolyn Jones played her own sister.
I was thinking somebody else did it. I thought the other day I read something.
So that's our cast. And
there was another double.
Yes.
Because I heard this is up for debate, but my understanding is Thing was Ted Cassidy's hand.
He denied that. I read that too. And I've also read that he denied that. But you know what? Could be. Who knows why people say that?
He always had his suit on, so I have no idea if he had hairy arms.
That's true. He always did. He was great. So a couple of the little things, little tidbits about the Addams Family, which I think are kind of interesting. I think everybody knows some of the more, like Morticia's flesh-eating plant.
Mm-hmm.
The African strangler was called Cleopatra.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people know that Uncle Fester could illuminate light bulbs by putting them in his mouth. Do you remember what his wristwatch was?
His wristwatch?
He had a watch that he told time with. It was an hourglass.
Oh, an hourglass. Because I'm sitting here thinking of all the other little ongoing jokes they had, but no, I don't remember that one.
What about their pet lion's name? Do you remember what their pet lion's name was?
It was just Kitty, wasn't it?
Kitty, Kit Kat. Yes.
Kit Kat, okay.
And he was afraid of humans.
I love that. Yeah. One of the episode you chose, we see him running away. That was very cute. And we also had, Morticia would smoke.
Yes.
A hookah. She was always cutting the buds off of roses.
Charming people.
And of course, we have Gomez kissing up her arm and his fencing. And what were some other running jokes? Of course, we have You Rang.
Well, yes, You Rang. But it was also the French. Cara mia.
Yes.
Gomez was one horny Addams. And
yes, he was.
And Carolyn Jones said that the sensuality between the two, if you think about it, they were a very sensual, sexy couple. This is TV in the 60s, people. 1964. I really think that Darren and Samantha were the first married couple to sleep in the same bed. So this is what we're dealing with here. It was the very first time. So there was a great sensuality between Gomez and Morticia. And I think that's what people respond to, because the minute he heard a French phrase or a French word, he was a horn dog, and he was all over kissing her arm, and she would take it. She'd roll her eyes. Sometimes she'd get into it. Sometimes she wouldn't. I love when they would fence together. I mean, it's just such clever, sophisticated things. I think that's the thing about the Addams Family. I think you said it earlier. There's a sophistication to the Addams Family that is not part of the Munsters. And I think that's what's appealing, because of the Charles Addams cartoons, don't you think?
Well, the Charles Addams cartoons were not, well, I mean, they were sophisticated in the sense that they were from the New Yorker magazine, but they weren't sophisticated like the sense the TV show. The TV show really changed the Addams Family, or the Charles Addams comics, the cartoons, to their, not to their betterment, in my opinion.
Well, they made them much less sinister. I mean, they're not dumping boiling oil on people underneath their, under.
Well, yes. And I love that's actually one of my favorite Charles Addams comics is when the family is up on top of the roof and they're dumping hot oil on the trick-or-treaters. And I was so excited in the movie when they did that.
Yeah.
Because that is the Addams that I know. The Addams in the TV series is... they're eccentric and weird.
Yeah, well,
they're not as ghoulish and macabre.
They're creepy and they're kooky.
Yes,
mysterious and spooky.
They're more screwball,
altogether hooky. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. They had to dumb it down a bit for TV. Obviously, this is TV this is TV. This ain't HBO. This is ABC in the '60s. So, well, do we want to? Since we're talking about the Addams Family, do we want to talk about the Addams Family episodes that we picked?
Well, I think it's probably a good idea. Otherwise, we watch those for no reason.
Exactly.
Well, other than our own enjoyment.
So I'll lead off with talking. This is my first one. This is the first one up, but I'll go ahead and give if it's all right with you, I'll give the titles and the stats, and we'll get into the
Sure.
So our very first episode is entitled "How ironic is this? Halloween with the Addams Family." Wonder why Tony chose that. It's from season 1. It's episode 7. It aired on October 30th, 1964. It was directed by Sidney Landfield, written by Keith Fowler, Phil Leslie, and David Levy, and it had a special guest star. Who was one of their special guest stars, Brad? Do you remember?
I do remember, and considering this was only the 7th episode of the season, I'm really surprised they got this big star on the first season of this kooky series, and that would be Don Rickles.
Yeah, still nursing his wounds for not being cast in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Still pissed off at Stanley Kramer. But yeah, it's not unusual because do you know who actually directed the pilot episode of The Addams Family? I meant to mention that.
No.
Arthur Hiller, a director named Arthur Hiller. Arthur Hiller was a very well-known film director. He directed Love Story, for God's sake. He directed The Hospital, The In-Laws, and he directed the pilot episode. So the Addams Family, again, the sophisticated level of the Addams Family, I think, is obvious here. So Halloween with the Addams Family. This was one of 2 Halloween episodes. This was the first one, obviously, and then the second one was the last one because then the Addams Family was canceled. And basically the story is that on Halloween night, 2 robbers accept the Addams Family's unknowing invitation to celebrate in their home because they're hiding out from the law. The Addams Family are having a Halloween party, and they think these 2 individuals, Don Rickles and his pal, are guests. But I don't remember them ever saying they invited anybody. So I'm wondering, how do they think these people are showing up just to come to their party? Because they have this whole thing. She has cocktails. She has the spider cookies. I mean, Lurch is in there making the drinks, making the sandwiches. I'm like, who did they invite? Cousin It's not even there yet. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a cute episode. And that's basically it. It's basically these normal, air quotes, people, bank robbers, finding out that it's actually a better choice to go with the police than it is to stay in the Addams Family house.
And that's the clever part. They were with this family that was freaking them out, but they had to choose, do we deal with these weirdos or do you deal with the cops? And that premise is what kept them there, which I thought was very clever.
It is. And they also discovered that Gomez has a drawer full of cash, which I was like, oh, that's great. So that's what also keeps them there. They're hiding out from the police. And every time they think they're going to leave, they hear the siren. So they decide to stay. And then they find out Gomez has a drawer full of cash, which begs the question. And I want to know if you knew this. We know that Gomez is obsessed with the stock market because that's one of his traits. He's always reading the ticker tape from the stock market. What the hell does Gomez do for a living? We know what Herman does. What does Gomez do? He has all that money.
Well, I think that's the difference. Another difference between the two. That we said that the Munsters was more of a traditional sitcom. The Munsters are a middle income family. the Addams are so rich, it's beyond belief. And I don't know if we ever knew, you may know, but how Gomez got his money other than he was a big time investor.
No, that's what I was asking you. I don't know how he got his money. I think he just they were just wealthy. We're just supposed to.
It just was.
And suspend our disbelief and go, oh, they're a wealthy family. I mean, their house is a museum. I mean, when people come to see them, they really are a scream. So we just have to go with that. That's the way it is.
He, on the one hand, was obsessed with money, but it was more like a game because it didn't mean much to him. Like that, leaving the money stuffed in a desk drawer.
It's so funny. It's so great. And among the games they play with their guests is a bobbing game, but not bobbing for apples. And they're not actually doing the bobbing and the biting. They are trying to not get bobbed and bitten by what, Brad?
Bobbing for crabs.
Exactly. That has interesting connotations when you say it like that.
And I loved Don Rickles said they're still alive, and they were like, "Well, that's what makes it a challenge."
And Uncle Fester, of course, loves the game. The crab goes right, but of course they both end up with the crabs on their noses, and they're freaking out during the entire time. And I love the fact, we forgot that Pugsley and Wednesday go trick-or-treating with Grandma. And of course, it's Halloween. So do you remember what their costumes were when they went out trick-or-treating?
Yes, and this is where it was more Munsters like. Pugsley, I didn't hear what they were called. I actually debated whether to rewind it. Pugsley looked like like almost a Stanley Laurel. He just looked like a normal guy, really, in a bowler hat.
A businessman. That was his costume.
He was a businessman. And Wednesday looked kind of like a librarian with kooky glasses. But they talked about how terrifying they were, and they needed to tell people that they were just children.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is more of a Munsters kind of gag, but it was funny. It was very funny.
That is funny. Please warn people.
And then they're with Grandmama, who, is terrifying witch. So,
how these Halloween episodes on these shows are always interesting because they're really one of the few times that the characters can interact with, air quotes, normal people without people screaming or running because they think they're at a costume party.
Yes.
The Munsters also have a masquerade, which was one of the episodes I was going to do, but I didn't. Where they so they can go to these costume parties because people think they're in costume. They don't realize, no, this is the way they look. It's a very cute episode. I liked it for the Halloween theme. The thing about these episodes is they're not long. They're short episodes. I mean, they're not as short as TV episodes are now, but there's not a lot of waste in it. It's a cute episode. The usual things happen. They see the lion. Lurch freaks them out. They're going to leave. They see the money. It's just a fun episode. I like it as a Halloween episode. What did you think? Yeah,
but to go off of what you said, Lurch didn't freak them out at first. They were just really impressed with his mask.
Yes, his costume, of course.
And I love that
Halloween.
When I don't think it was Don Rickles, it was the other criminal who put his face. He said, "Where did you get that mask?"
Exactly.
And Lurch said, "It's mine," or something.
Yeah.
I think he said, "It's mine."
Well, don't they put their hands on him?
Put his hand up on.
Yeah, they put their hands on his face.
Yeah, he put his hand up on his face. He's like, my words are like, "Holy shit, that is a man."
No, but I love the fact that these people, these criminals, would rather be dragged into jail than spend any more time with the Addams family. It's just, it's the theme of the show in a nutshell is and all Gomez and Morticia want to do is have a good time and be good neighbors, be neighborly, have a little party, a little soiree for the neighborhood, and this kind of stuff happens.
And that is one thing that is fun about the Addams family because they're so rich. They're just always just trying to have fun.
They are, and they're very loving.
And
they're a very loving family.
Yeah, and their sense of fun, unfortunately, does not jive with the rest of the world. But they're just trying to have a good time.
Addams just want to have fun. So
yes.
So that's my episode, Halloween with the Addams Family. We should do your Addams Family episode, Brad. I'll introduce it. You want me to introduce it?
Yes.
Brad picked Lurch, the Teenage Idol, also from season 1, episode 33. It aired on May 14th, 1965. It was directed by Sidney Landfield, and it was written by Phil Leslie, Carol Henning, and Ed Ring. And tell us about this episode, Brad.
I chose this episode not just because it featured Lurch, which is partially one of the reasons, just I remembered it being very funny because of the absurdity of this episode. And what the episode is that Lurch is grunting on his harpsichord And Gomez decides, we can make him a star because, Gomez, as soon as he gets an idea of how to make money, he immediately goes for it.
Because he sounds like all those other folk singers, right? He sounds like all those other folk singers on the radio. Have you ever heard him? They sound just like him.
That's his singing. And so I love that when it cuts to the record studio and the producer says, I'm not doing hit songs with butlers or something of that nature. But then he hears Lurch singing in the background going, he's like, oh, what is that? Is that him? So he puts the 60s blonde bombshell on, and she listens to it. And I don't know what her words were, but basically something like, that's really groovy. So they immediately we have a star on our hands. So they have to rush over to the house. And again, this is one of the things I love. Everything's creepy and kooky, but this time they're sitting there in the living room listening to Lurch sing. And Lurch becomes a huge star.
Goes right to his head, too. Goes right to his head.
Yes, it does. And, Lurch always has that look, and I love it when this is one of the reasons I love Lurch and Ted Cassidy's portrayal of him, which is very well done based on the cartoons. He's sitting there playing the piano, and his eyes are just rolled up in his head like he's the dead playing this piano as he's grunting. And the whole visual, I just love.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I like this episode a lot. I thought this was a fun episode. I had never seen it, actually. Oh, so I hadn't seen a lot of, like I said, I'm much more familiar with the Munsters. So seeing a lot of these Addams Family episodes was actually I remembered certain specific things. I remembered Kit Kat, and I remembered the Cleopatra, the flesh-eating plant, but I didn't remember specific chunks of episodes. And this one was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you, I don't remember specific episodes as a rule. I remember some. This is the only one that really stuck in my mind, probably more than most. I remembered the one that you picked after we started writing it, or after I started watching it. But even then, it didn't click.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so that's the Addams Family, folks. Those are our picks for the Addams Family. Again, only 2 seasons. So if you ever want to binge something this Halloween, that's a fun one. It's only 2 seasons. But I got to tell you, Brad, I think I have to confess, and I don't know, you might be on the same wavelength with this or not. When I originally said, are you a Munster or an Addams? When I'm really, push comes to shove, I really am a Munster. I really, really am.
Pardon my French, but abso-fucking-loop. Abso-fucking-loop. I can't say. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Mr. Big. Abso-fucking-lootly. Yes.
Yes. Despite the fact that the Munsters was slightly ahead in the ratings when it originally aired, the Addams Family has a longer legacy. And I think there's a lot of reasons why that is. Part of it is, I think, because of the sophistication of it. But that just gets my goat. It just gets my goat because I don't want to speak poorly of the Addams Family in the sense that I think it was beautifully written. I think it was well done.
Right.
But it just wasn't my cup of tea. And I didn't think it was as creative as the Munsters. And I will say a lot of it has to do with my love for the original comics. Charles Addams himself wasn't thrilled that they downplayed it that much. He wasn't angry. He kind of understood, and he certainly said he never complained about the money, but he didn't feel like it was what he created, and it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't.
Well, it's not. And I think that's one of the reasons for its legs. I think one of the reasons why, when you think about it, you're right. It has gone on further than Munsters. Everybody knows the 2 Addams Family films from the 90s, Addams Family and Addams Family Values, because they could be darker, because we were in a more sophisticated time, if you will, the 90s, as opposed to the 60s. And you could actually have that kind of darker sophistication. It played better in that time. And I think that's why the Addams Family went on. And also, I don't know if you know there was an Addams Family Broadway musical.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, starring Nathan Lane and Bebe Neuwirth. And I think it ran it wasn't a huge, tremendous hit, but it was a hit. It ran for a couple years, and there's productions of it all the time, community theater or summer stock because people love these characters. I mean, it's a built-in audience with the Addams Family, and it's a cute musical. But yeah, there's all these reboots. We just talked about Wednesday on Netflix. So the culture now is much more in tune with the spirit of the Addams Family and the Charles Addams version, the darker version, than this kind of sanitized version.
Exactly. And that is why I like the movies better. I haven't actually watched the Wednesday series, and I am dying to watch it because I know it is more of the ghoulish. I just haven't had the time to, because on my long list of shows I'm trying to get caught up on, it's on there. Nathan Lane, I don't know if I can picture him as Gomez, but BB Newirth as Morticia. Oh my God, that just sounds brilliant.
Perfect casting.
Yes.
So, but listen to Addams Family.
And actually, let me get one more thing. To me, there's a big reason why the Addams Family continued.
What's that?
The Addams Family was an easy transition to color. The Munsters has never looked right. Every time it looks. The Munsters has to be in black and white.
Well, okay then.
These are old Universal monsters that I know they ran that series with John Schuck, and I'm sad for John Schuck that he ever did the Herman series. I think it was in the 80s. And it looks awful. And every time they've tried to redo it, it looks awful.
Which is a perfect lead into the Munsters.
Yes.
But it's going to have to wait until next week and part 2 of our Addams v. Munsters episodes, because as Brad and I were recording this, we thought, this is going to be way too long for one episode. We're going to have to split this, which makes sense, I think. This week, Addams, next week, Munsters.
Well, it just goes to prove that we have strong opinions about these two shows. And this is perfectly in keeping having next week be the Munsters. It will keep in with our scary Halloween theme.
Exactly. So, Brad, do you have anything else you want to say about the podcast, the Addams Family, or anything else?
Well, for those that are new to this podcast, welcome. We're happy you're here. Please click the follow button so that you will be notified whenever we have a new episode come out, and you won't miss a single one. Those of you who have been listening for a while, welcome back. We are always happy to have you back, and we really appreciate it. And please rate and review so others will know that you enjoy the show, so that they'll say, hey, I think I'll check it out too.
That sounds good. Yes. Thanks to everybody who has been rating and reviewing. It is so very appreciated. I can't say that enough. Well, Brad, I guess there's only one thing left to say, but I don't want to say it. So let's not say goodbye. Let's just say...
No, I told you I can't snap. So let's just say...
Yeah. We better say goodbye. Until next week. Oh, snap. Goodbye, everybody.
That's all, folks.